In public meeting.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Pledge of Allegiance. Mylene, can you lead the Pledge of Allegiance? And then a moment of silence in honor of our men and women serving at home and overseas.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which stands one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Yeah, that's the whole point for the recording. Can I please have a motion to accept the minutes of the May 23rd? Oh, I'm sorry. Will the district clerk first please call the roll?
Mrs. Kennedy? Mrs. Mallon?
Present.
Mr. Murphy? Mrs. Augulus? Mr. Coley Hefar?
Present.
Mrs. Napolitano Furno? Mr. Spencer? Mr. Hauser?
Present.
Mrs. Poppy?
Present.
Now can I please have a motion to accept the minutes of the May 23rd, 2023 meeting?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye, motion so carries. Please have Mrs. Poppy introduce Mr. Mallory in regards to our spring athletes and teams.
Good evening. First of all, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for having us here with a chance to highlight our spring, specifically our all county and state qualifiers and county champions. I'd like to thank this central administration and the Board of Education for all their support, as always, as well as our high school administration as well. We had a tremendous spring. We thought last year was probably a record-setting spring for Connecticut athletics. We did even better this year, but before we even talk about athletics, we had some incredible events, many of which were initiated by this Board of Education, and we really appreciate it, such as our Beats for Liam cardiac screening, which went really well. In the last 2 years, we have screened over 400 kids to try to catch any issues there are cardiovascular-wise and see if we could preempt any situations that can arise from playing athletics. So we thank you for that, and it went really well. We had our Hall of Fame induction. We had the first time ever, we had a first responders camp, basketball camp, which was really a big hit with the community and the parents and the kids. We had a blast, and they got to see our first responders in a different light, a more fun, an exciting light, and they had a great time with the kids. Thanks to Lauren Neckin and many of the administrators at the high school, we ran the 5K mental health awareness run. So that was an exciting part of our spring. And then we finished off with our senior athletic awards ceremony, honoring our seniors. We were also very proud to host over 1,000 athletes, and we hosted the Section 11 Boys and Girls Track Championships, in which our girls track team placed third, and our boys track team for the second year in a row won the whole thing. So appreciate you letting us host. It's a big event. And I would be remiss, especially when you think about all that goes into these events, if I did not thank our outstanding security team led by Don Flynn and Adam Labate. Security's been great. Our custodians, our grounds, everybody's a real part of our success. As far as the athletics, we had 493 athletes this spring. We had 120 of those were named scholar athletes by New York State, holding a 90 average or better. We had 7 of 9 teams were scholar athlete teams, and 7 of 9 teams made the playoffs. Of those playoff teams, 6 won playoff games and made deep playoff runs. We had our first year of girls flag football, which is a huge success. They missed the playoffs by 1 touchdown in their first year. Boys and girls track, boys lacrosse, boys baseball, all were league champions this spring. And as I just said, our boys track team won the county championship. So tonight, in keeping with the tradition, we will honor our county champions and state qualifiers. I'd like to start by saying that Mr. Austin, Coach Austin, the head coach for our girls track team, apologizes. He had a previous engagement. So I'm going to invite the assistant girls track coaches up to the podium, Ms. Deanna Farrell and Bill Waring.
Thank you. My name is Deanna Farrell. I'm the assistant coach for the girls varsity track and field team. Like Pete said, Coach Austin couldn't be here. He wishes he could be. But to get started, the girls team finished undefeated in their league with an average score of 106 to 44. They were a close third in the county to 2 of the top teams in the state. At the county meet, Caitlin Mallon won the triple jump with nearly a foot personal best, putting her in the top 5 in Connecticut history. Lara Booth Alma won the pole vault by a foot and a half over her competition. This jump tied her own top mark, which is currently number 2 in Connecticut history. Essence Wright had a huge day throwing more than 10 feet further than her previous best. Alexa Colandona won both the 100-meter hurdles and the 400-meter hurdles in times that led the county and were top 5 in the state. Over this past weekend, Alexa also competed in the state meet, and she was all-state in the public high school race, finishing 6th, and at all federation and the federation meet, federation being all schools, both public, private, small, and large, and finishing 5th. These girls worked so hard throughout the season, and it definitely shows myself, Coach Austin, and Bill, and all the other coaching staff. They are so proud of everything that they did and what they accomplished, so congratulations, girls, and I can't wait to see what the rest of them do next season.
Another one of our assistant coaches is here, Mr. Dwight Edwards. Come on down. So our boys and girls track team work very well together. They're really one huge team. So we're going to keep all the coaches together because some of the coaches work with the girls and the boys. But at this point, I'd like to bring up the boys' assistant coach, Kristen Hirschneider, to speak on behalf of Shelby White, our head coach, who had a previous engagement as well.
Hello, thank you for having me. We are very excited to be here. Our boys track and field program has seen some unprecedented success these last few years, and it is no doubt that it's due to the hard work and dedication presented by our athletes. Let me start with a pretty amazing statistic that we have. Last year as a team, these boys were crowned as freshman class county champions, sophomore class county champions, and overall Suffolk Class A county champions, which is great. And then again, this outdoor season, they repeated as freshmen, sophomore, and overall Class A county champions. That means these boys have not suffered a single loss in these last 2 years. This season culminated in our program bringing 5 individuals to compete in the New York State Championship meet, and it ended in all 5 of these individuals being recognized with all-state honors and bringing home medals. Those athletes are Edward Feisler, Emmanuel Paravalos, Giovanni Thompson, Jada McCabe, and Aiden Friel. Some of them are here, some of them are not. This weekend, we will be heading to nationals in Pennsylvania, where some of our seniors will be competing for Connecticut for the final time, and some of our underclassmen will be competing to prove themselves worthy of defending our titles next year. We are so incredibly proud of everything they've done, and we can't wait to see what next year brings. So, good job, boys. That's you.
Tell everybody what your GPA is.
Okay, so he actually messed this one up at the Scholar Athlete Night.
Thanks. Sell me out, right?
But my average this year, what's up?
I was just saying you outed Pete and he's supposed to get tenure tonight, but I guess not.
But I do believe I have the highest average in Connecticut history at a 104.86 right now.
Thank you again. I appreciate it.
I just wanted to point out, Mr. Mallory spoke about Beats for Liam. I just want to highlight that, yes, we had a great showing, but the other factor that we should also think about is how many children were recommended or suggested to go for cardiac screening above what was offered at that point. So I just want, especially athletes and young students, to know that, you know, Liam lost his life very suddenly. We had a few other students over the years have lost their life suddenly. So I can't stress it enough for every parent, especially children that are entering puberty. Every single child should get a baseline. These last few years, I've been watching Beats for Liam and seeing how many children are recommended to go seek cardiology appointments. It's concerning. It's not a zero. There are still children that need follow-up. So I just want to stress again, if you have a child who's going into puberty, please get your first baseline, get your EKGs. It's important. Thank you.
There are other certificates, right? Oh, even the whole team? Oh. Tenure presentation by Mr. Khalifa.
Well, first I'd like to say thank you, Ms. Napolitano-Ferno. Tenure is probably one of the most important things that can be bestowed upon a teacher or an administrator, and we are thankful to have had some of the best. I can speak from personal experience. I know that Ms. Poppy and I have been observing some of the tenure candidates that are being recommended tonight, and it is with absolute great pleasure that I ask for everybody to just take a look at this short video of our tenure candidates for the 2023 school year.
Cause you're a sky full of stars. I'm gonna give you my heart. Cause you're a sky full of stars. Cause you light up the path. you're a sky full of stars. I wanna die in your arms. Oh, 'cause you get lighter the more it gets dark. I'm gonna give you my heart. Oh, I don't care, go on and tear me apart. I don't care if you do.
And be recognized by this Board of Education. Madam President, I ask that the board take a vote now on conferring tenure on those following candidates.
Can I please have a motion to approve conferring of tenure in accordance with application provisions of education law to the individuals as presented?
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations to all of you.
Congratulations.
There were two very important people that were left out of the video because the school board has chosen to, chosen to vote yes to the superintendent's recommendation to tenure Mrs. Christina Poppy. Congratulations. And our Director of HR, Mr. Reza Kolhifar. Congratulations.
Since I had a hand in putting the video together, I felt it a little self-serving to put myself in there, so I chose not to. But congratulations to Ms. Poppy. So from tenure, we are going to move on to our retirees. These people have given of themselves selflessly over the last 30 years or so to the Connecticut School District, the community, our students, and they have chosen to enter into the next part or next phase of their life in retirement. We wish them all the best of luck. We do ask that you come back and visit as often as you'd like. And certainly, I'm in desperate need of substitutes. So if you want to sub for us, I'm more than happy to hire you. But we do have a short video for them as well. So Ms. Kemp, if you could, please.
These are the days. These are
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question, but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable.
Again, I ask if you are present here as a retiree, that you stand and be recognized by this Board of Education. Pat Coster, please stand.
Stand up.
Pat, I greatly apologize for leaving you out, but congratulations and best of luck to you.
Congratulations to all those who just retired. Enjoy retirement.
You want to say anything else? Now we're going to take a little break. You want to tell them about the break? Yeah. So we are going to take a short 5-minute break. There are refreshments outside. We want to just congratulate everybody again. There is also a flyer with a little bit of a paragraph about each of our retirees, and there's stuff in there about the tenure candidates as well. So I encourage you to take a look at that. They are on the table outside, but for the next 5 minutes, 10 minutes or so, we are going to take a short recess to just, again, as I said, congratulate those who have received tenure and who are going on to those greener pastures of retirement. Thank you.
definitely. We should go visit her. She would love to see you. She doesn't drive anymore. I will. She has your number.
You guys are ready? Yes? You guys ready to resume the meeting? Okay. Suspend business meeting, call for a motion in a second to suspend the business meeting and to call the audit committee meeting to order. All in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Presentation of the internal audit. Ali Battaglia from RS Abrams will discuss the findings from the internal audit report.
Hi, good evening.
Welcome and thank you for being here.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm actually happy to report these reports because it was actually a really good report overall. I think it's on. Can you hear me? Okay. I'm just short, so I have to go in a little bit. Yes. Okay, so the first one was the food services operations report. That's when we discussed last year that we would do an in-depth study on your food service operations. So what we did was we came into the district and we basically met with the food service operations and basically documented all your policies and also documented all your procedures relating to the food service. So the governance is all the board policies that are under your food service operations. We looked at your inventory procedures, your vending machines, the free and reduced meal applications, your federal and state reimbursement procedures, your cash receipts procedures, and then we did have some findings and recommendations. The first one was basically, which I already discussed with, we did have a meeting, Bob organized a meeting to make sure that these findings and recommendations did get implemented. So the first one was that the auditor noted that the surprise register accounts are not performed by cook managers, so it's just a good internal control procedure to make sure that you just do some spot checks of the register accounts. The next finding was the vending machines. So basically, even though the district contracts outside with the vending machine that handles their vending machines for the cafeteria, which is part of the food service management company bid, we still recommend that you do adopt a formal policy with the vending machines just to put in what your procedures are for the vending machines related just for the school service that we looked at. Otherwise, those are the only two, and then the school lunch fund balance, which we discussed last year, was we know that in 2020 and 2021 you did have a school lunch deficit. In 2022 you did have a fund balance that was positive, as we discussed, because you did have additional federal and state reimbursements due to the COVID-19 pandemic, which was basically is not going to be consistent throughout the years. Sure.
I know I was in a committee meeting and there were certain vending machines in certain buildings that they weren't even sure if it was the food service vending machines or other vending machines, if it belonged to clubs or anything.
Right, so I think you do, what it is, we looked at specific ones just for the cafeteria, but I do think you have ones that do run through the extra classroom activity clubs. Mm-hmm.
So the ones that are outside of the lunchrooms, who is stocking them? Who is,
That goes through the extracurricular activities fund, and the various treasurers that are responsible for that. So that's not necessarily a district function. It's not necessarily even a building function. It's a club function.
So is it benefit one particular club? Does it benefit all clubs?
I'll have to get you that information. I don't know which specific clubs benefit from those vending machines, building by building.
Okay, so that would be great, because if it's only benefiting one club, so to speak, you're taking real estate in this space, as the saying goes. So if you're taking real estate in our space, I would think that all clubs should get a piece of that pie.
Oh, good point, and I will let you know which clubs are benefiting from that.
Thank you.
Okay. And then we also did have the appendix, because as we discussed last year, you wanted just basically the pros and cons of either outsourcing your food service operations or doing it in-house. So we did provide that with the pros and cons for you, which is up to the board and management to decide on how they want to go. But we did provide that for you, as I know you requested that information.
So have you had the opportunity to audit other districts that are self-serve versus having?
Yeah, so I see, like I said, I see pros and cons on benefits on both sides. So it's basically really tailored to your district, what your needs are.
Okay, have you audited other districts? I think, is it Comac or Sachem?
Yes, Sachem with claims audit, but Comac, yes, we do,
Right.
we're the internal auditors there as well.
So as far as Sachem goes, because I know they're self-operating, do you see this is a success there?
Well, we're just the claims auditor, so we're not the internal auditors there, so I can't speak on Sachem's
Okay.
operations,
Gotcha.
unfortunately for you.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions with the school, with the food service operations? Okay, so then I'm going to get into the risk assessment. This is an annual risk assessment that we do every year. Basically, what we do is we look at the prior year findings and make sure that they got implemented. Also, we have it as a low, moderate, or high risk. So if anything's deemed high risk, that means that it needs immediate attention, that your internal controls need, immediate attention to get those controls in place. I'm happy to report that you had no high-risk areas. And the only moderate risk areas is the two comments that we just went over for the food service operations. That's for this year. You did have some prior year findings that were moderate, and I'm happy to say that those all did get reduced to low risk because you did implement them. So the first one on page 3 was the accounting and reporting. So we looked at your reserves and your fiscal health. And basically we found that the school lunch fund balance basically was 2022 was self-sustaining. So we did move that to low risk. We'll have to monitor that going forward into the next couple of years. And also your unassigned fund balance did not exceed the 4% of next year's budget. That's real property tax law that you're not allowed to. So because of those two recommendations did get implemented, we reduced our risk to low. So that's why. Then we had the transportation services. That basically came out of our transportation report. And I'm happy to report that basically you did update your policy because it didn't match the procedures. So you just had to update the policy to reflect the new procedure, well, the current procedures, I should say. Also, there was vehicle parts and supplies in a locked cage. And basically what you did is you implemented an inventory control sheet to make sure that if anybody removes a part, everything's logged and documented in those inventory control sheets. So that was also. The rest is the low-risk items. That's for the current year review. So this is something that we looked at this year. And obviously, we just did a high-level overview. But we did look at your revenues and billings, which is your tuition, health, and services billing. We looked at your human resources, which is employment requisition and hiring. Your employment termination, making sure that all those policies and procedures are in place. Employee attendance. We also looked at your purchasing and related expenditures. So we looked at your purchase order system, your payment order, travel and conferences. And we also did a high-level review of your extra class activity funds. So we looked at the general controls, cash receipts and cash disbursements, and then your student-related data, which is your student attendance, student performance data, your security and safety. That's all the drills that should be in place. And we didn't have any issues. So for 23-24, we recommend to do payroll. If you turn to you can see the cycles on page 2. These are the cycles that we already did, an extensive system review. So we're saying payroll just because it's your largest expenditure and we would like to look more into it. Obviously, as an audit committee, if you have another area of concern that you would like us to switch with, we'd be more than happy to look into that area as, instead of payroll. Okay.
Excuse me, are you looking for the board to give any type of?
They don't have to, decide tonight. You can let me know before we start our 23-24 internal audit.
Thank you.
And then we'll do another whole risk assessment update as well. So we do one cycle report and then a risk assessment update every year to make sure that those findings. You could accept it, but if you want to switch cycles, that's okay, because this is just a proposed area.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, I have to say your administration's definitely into making sure that these recommendations get implemented. We have a lot of Zoom sessions, meetings, so I'm happy to say that I like to see that when our recommendations get implemented. Because we work as a team and just try to get you to make sure your internal controls are up to standards.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Have a good evening.
Acceptance of the internal audit report and risk assessment update report. Call for a motion and a second to accept the risk report, review of food service operations and risk assessment update reports as presented. All in favor? Aye, motion so carries. Closed audit meeting. Can we call for a motion and a second to adjourn the audit committee meeting and resume the business meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion so carries. Call for a motion and a second to approve the first reading of the policy 4327, homebound instruction. Homebound instruction. All in favor? We need a motion and then a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion so carries.
Wait, Lisa, no.
Oh, sorry, Lee.
Who wrote this? Did you have the attorneys?
So it came from Mrs. Pisani. There was an update in the required number of hours from 10 to 15 per week. So that's Mrs. Pisani, as the Director of Student Services, put together a committee, and they revised the policy and the regulation and exhibits, and that is where it came from.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, right?
That's what I'm asking you. Yes?
Because you had said no when she said
I mean, because I wanted to ask a question.
Okay, that's fine. All right, so it's going to be 5 yeses. Thank you. The superintendent presents the following regulations and exhibits for the Board of Education's edification. 4327R, 4327E1, 4327E2, 4327E3, 4327E4, 4327E5, homeward instruction, it's a homeward instruction regulation, guidelines, timesheet, sign-in sheet, progress report, secondary progress report, elementary. It's 4327E6, homeward instruction, parent guidelines letter, alternative learning center, parent guidelines letter, E7. Do we have a student government report findings? Anybody from student government here tonight? Okay. Board of Education topics. I'd like to call on our legal, Mr. Spencer, to go over the election transparency, please.
Of course. So over the last several weeks, our office has received several inquiries or questions about whether or not the office of librarian at the Connecticut Library is compatible with the office of a board member of the Connecticut School District. In connection with those questions, we have reviewed the statute that's at issue, as well as common law decisions and issues from several New York administrative bodies. The statute itself addresses several offices which exist or may have existed in the past within school districts. Included in this list of offices which may not be held by board members is that of a librarian. However, no such office currently exists in Connecticut or, to our knowledge, any other school district on the island. The commissioner herself has also definitively stated that it is permissible for an individual to simultaneously hold the offices of a library trustee, which is a little bit different than a librarian, but nevertheless, it's applicable. So this decision, along with our common law analysis of the compatibility of the positions, leads us to believe the two positions are not incompatible. So dual office holding is permitted unless either specifically prohibited by statute or by the common law rule of incompatibility. Under the rule, incompatibility exists if the two offices have inconsistent functions, if one is subordinate to the other, or if there is inherent inconsistency between the two positions. Based upon our review, we do not find any of those compatibility issues exist between a school board member and librarian of the public library. Parenthetically, a public library is established by the voters of the school district. Trustees of the library are elected by voters of the district. The library board of trustees and school board are independent of each other and subordinate only to the district voters. An employee of the library is another degree of separation away from the conflict with the board when compared to being a member of the library board. Further, there does not appear to be any inherent inconsistency between the two positions. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I had also asked legal to give us a report. Thank you, Jesse, for forwarding it today. I believe the total so far is already $4,062.01. Am I correct, Jesse? Okay. So just for this inquiry, $4,062.01. Taxpayer money from the taxpayers. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Can I respond to that? I received an email from a community member. I don't even know the person. No, I didn't. I swear I didn't. I swear my son I did not. Well, I'm getting nastiness from the audience, so I have to respond to that. Anyway, I received this, what was it, a policy or whatever it was. I knew nothing about it. I passed it on to the district clerk, and I said, please look into it. District clerk called NISBA, or I think, and then they didn't have an answer, so she handed it to the attorney. If any community member gave me something that I have no clue about, I'm going to pass it on to the district. That's my responsibility.
Lee,
That's not micromanaging. That's my responsibility.
It's
End of
also
story.
3 board members' decision and vote to waste or use taxpayer money. And that isn't what happened in this, did it?
We've used taxpayer money on.
This was clearly 2 people who inquired, a new school board elect and you, who did question it about another new school board elect. I'm
sir,
only going because I believe
whoever
truth
you
is
are,
an absolute defense, and
you're
should
watching
tell
this,
the truth.
and you
Tell the truth.
I am. Whoever you are,
Tell the truth.
please come forward
Tell the
at
truth.
a board meeting one day and say who you are, because this board chooses to make up their own story. I know the truth, and I reported the truth. Did not know this.
The truth is, there was never a vote between board members. I don't know. Mylin,
There
Brian,
was never a vote.
Marisol, was there a vote to use this money or to look into this? Which I would have
There's no
problem
votes to
looking
use
into
DASA
it,
money
Lee,
against my son.
But we should most
There's no
definitely
votes to
be
use
asking.
money all the time, right?
But it's using
What did it
taxpayer
cost
money.
when you went after me?
Marisol once asked me, Marisol, am I right that you asked me, don't we need more than 1 board member in order to use taxpayer money?
So, I'll add.
Well, I was just unclear if we could contact legal on our own or if we needed
I
a
didn't
vote
contact
to
legal. I
contact legal.
contacted the district clerk.
So I've
End
been
of
on the board for
story.
2 years, and there's been a lot of different things where people call legal and don't get 3 votes. And from what I understand now, moving forward, 3 people that are still on this board as of July 1st will vote to call legal if we agree to it. Because
100%.
it's enough. Like, we've done it before where, and Jackie, not to call you out, but you've been guilty, I'm sure Lee's been guilty, where you just call legal.
Brian,
I'm not-
I'm not gonna have this like, oh, you called legal.
No.
We've all called legal.
I never knew it was right, so
okay?
I'm not blaming you.
We called legal.
Jackie, let me
Lee
finish.
Kennedy and an elect board member decided that they were going to supersede
No.
money from the
This is
pockets of
a public
taxpayers.
meeting,
okay?
You're
From
lying.
taxpayers. So if
You're
you-
lying,
If
Jackie.
we're going to do this, we can ask for a. And you don't have a right to speak during a public meeting. This is an interaction, so please respect the board members the way you want respect when you speak.
So Jackie, moving forward, us as a board, we will vote and get 3 to call legal.
With the two new board
100%,
members,
yes.
yeah.
I'm not saying I speak for you. I'm saying that, yes, moving forward, the 5 of us will discuss that and go from there. 100%. You weren't, and neither was I. Nope.
That's not true. If it was April and I got the same report, I would have handed it to the district clerk. That's the truth.
I don't know if anybody pays attention to the bills, but when the legal comes in, you'll see an initial next to the question asked. And if you're gonna see initials there, I feel anybody can foil, because I don't get legal advice and having the district pay for it. So feel free to foil all the invoices over the 9 years that I've been here, only as president that I've ever instructed to get that legal.
And that's the same thing.
So if you wanna
As
look
president,
at, if you wanna look at the invoices, there are initials to who initiated those questions. So if it's
Oh, I'd
not-
like you to pull that because
Yeah, I'd be happy to.
Jesse
pull that.
is the one that
I'd be
initiated that
happy for you
question.
to pull that, because I pay attention, Lee.
Lee, the whole point is that you didn't get 3 people to vote. In the future, we use taxpayer money for one board member, and one board member elect that comes on.
Was there taxpayer money used to go after me in a petition to remove me?
I'm not you. I don't make up fictitious, ridiculous petitions, okay? Fictitious petitions that hold no weight, and we all know. Okay? First of all, again, getting back, let's move on to the next one that I'm very interested in. 9/11 curriculum. So, excuse me, Mrs. Poppy, is there 9/11 curriculum in the buildings?
Yes, there is.
And did you just look into it for me as I requested? Because I believe we just got something that I need to ask Mr. Hauser about. To give transparency to our district, who has a right to know where more tax dollars will go, was there another legal lawsuit just lodged, and what is it in reference to? With the human rights. Can you please give transparency to this community?
So we did receive communication, and we forwarded that communication to our insurance company, who in turn retains a law firm to represent us.
Can you elaborate on what exactly that is?
I would need time to gather some information to be able to provide that to you.
Well, what it was in relation to?
I believe it was September 11th, as well as the flag issue.
Okay, so I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was the 9/11 flag that has been up for, I believe it's the 10-year anniversary edition, so it's been up for over 10 years, and on the OBMS wall of the building, is that correct?
It's in a display case in OBMS, correct?
On the hallway wall?
Correct.
Okay. So that is right now at legal for I just want to get it correct, Division of Human Rights lawsuit or inquiry, notice of claim, stating that, what is this flag exactly? Because what I read said discriminatory. Am I correct? Is that what it's put in for? Yeah.
So my understanding is that it's an amended notice of claim, and it relates to an issue regarding disparate treatment regarding the pride flag, as well as the current hanging of the 9/11 memorial flag.
Okay. Thank you. So that's also going to be something that the community has a right to know. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I went into the high school and I took a picture, and I went into, when we were walking around with the superintendent, I was with you, Mrs. Poppy, and I took a picture of both. RMS has a beautiful 9/11 wall right behind the security booth. Beautiful. And no one had an issue with that one, correct?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And the high school has a American flag on the wall, it looks like, if I'm not mistaken, painted in regards to a 9/11 flag on the wall there as well, on the upper staircase wall, if I'm not mistaken, from 9/11.
Correct.
So we are now getting a notice of claim for only one building for something that's been up for more than 10 years that is curriculum-based, am I correct?
So the New York State K through 12 Social Studies Curricular Framework places instruction about September 11 in grades 8, 10, and 11. So that would include OBMS. Correct.
Oh, no, I fully support having things up from 9/11. I worked down there on a different note, and we had people who were here as alumni who didn't make it back. God rest his soul, Glenn Penn. There are many people, many families who lost loved ones on 9/11. It is considered Patriots' Day. It is considered a historical terrorist attack on our land, the worst of its kind on American soil. So I just want to get this straight. 9/11 curriculum, just like Italian curriculum has an Italian flag, just like Spanish has the Spain flag, am I correct? Okay, so I just want to make sure that we're all in agreement that the 9/11 flag is curriculum.
So there are curricular connections in grades 8, 10, and 12 provided by New York State. And that would be a connection that you're referencing, I believe.
Perfect. Thank you so much. I just wanted to make sure that the community had all the information.
Mr. Napolitano-Ferno, if you don't mind, I'd like to present the board with some information that we received since our last meeting. Unfortunately, it's with great sadness that I report that we were notified of the passing of Mr. Chuck Murray. Mr. Murray was the principal at Ronkonkoma Middle School for several years, I believe beginning in 2004 until his retirement. He did suffer from ALS and unfortunately has succumbed to the disease, and we were notified of this last week. And we do wish the family and friends and relatives all the condolences that we can, and I wanted the board to be aware of that.
Okay, I'd like to bring up something. Since it's my last year that I'm retiring, and it's tradition that there is a board member that always has a speech for graduates. We don't have a board member speaking this year. They invited Mrs. Weeks to come, Senator Weeks to come speak.
Excuse me, Lee.
I'm
I am
talking.
the board president, and I'll be doing the speech. We already have that.
Oh, you are going?
I wrote it in the email. I believe Marisol answered, Brian answered, and Mylyn answered.
Oh.
As board president, it is my privilege to allow someone else to do my speech if I so choose, which I did offer it to Mr. Murphy. And
Mr. Murphy declined, didn't want to embarrass my son.
And I did offer it to him, and absolutely, I had no issue with that. And then we, as a board, voted on Senator Weeks coming in and doing the speech in my place. And then because of the inquiries, we decided that she and I will split the speech.
Oh, so I didn't know. If you were
Okay, it's
speaking.
on an email that everybody answered on, so I apologize if you didn't see it, but everybody else saw it.
Oh, okay, okay. As long as we have a board member speaking, that's important.
Well, typically, we would notify our lead counsel, Gorcio and Gorcio, but usually,
Too bad. Too bad.
right, yeah.
So there's an initial cost when the notice of claim comes in, but then it gets transferred over to the insurance, and then they pick up legal expenses, and we don't incur any more expenses from that point on. Please do.
What happens is when when the notice of claim comes into the district, either the business office or the district clerk will transmit that notice of claim to our office. We'll review it and we'll advise on any initial steps that need to be done. For the most part, your business office and your district clerk know what to do with it when it comes in. So essentially what happens is it goes to your insurer, which I believe is NYSER, and NYSER will make a determination regarding whether or not coverage applies and whether or not there's any exceptions to coverage. They'll get back to you and advise you whether or not they're going to cover it. If they're going to cover it, then the notice of claim will be, they'll put it out to firms that do handle insurance cases like that, that do accept insurance, which there are a number of them. And once that occurs, then the fees for legal services in connection with that claim will then run through your insurance. But to your point, there's a very, I would say, minimal initial outlay in terms of your own legal fees. Sure.
Perfect, thank you. We also have somebody that we, by accident, and my apologies, Mr. John Woody Woodworth, 32 years of service at Connecticut. He is one of our security guards, and we want to wish him well on his retirement. And thank you for all he's done for our school district, keeping our children safe. Thank you for your service. You've earned it. Enjoy your retirement. One last thing that I wanted to ask of you. There was people questioning what we can vote on in executive. I was told that the only thing that can officially be voted on in private executive is 3020A charges.
Correct. So under the statute, Education Law Section 3020A, the board is permitted, not just permitted, but required to vote on charges and specifications that may be levied against a tenured employee. That has to happen confidentially, and it has to happen in executive session.
Thank you.
Is there anything else that gets voted on?
In executive session? Not that I'm aware of, no.
If three people, sometimes the superintendent says, if I don't have three people, I'm not going to bring it out there. So that's not really a vote, but it sort of is a vote. Is that not true?
Lee, has there been any
And I was
votes?
talking to the attorney.
Oh, I'm asking. Has there been any votes?
I was
just
I
want
was
to know if
talking
there's
to
been any
the
votes.
attorney.
I think what Lee is saying is that at times we have discussions in executive about how it might possibly turn out in public, and then the superintendent may or may not present something for a vote.
Marisol, did you vote in executive at the last board meeting?
No,
Did you vote
I
on
never
anything
said
in
I
executive?
voted. I said at times
No,
there
I'm
are
asking.
discussions.
I'm just
I did not vote. But we do have discussions. about-
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely, 100%.
I just wanted to clarify if there was a vote, because someone said there was a vote, and I say there was not a vote, and I didn't hear everybody vote. That's why I asked.
There was no vote.
There was no vote.
There was no vote.
Anybody want to add anything else to anything going on? Okay, I wanted to also give accolades and recognition to our BOCES. Our BOCES students had their recognition for 2023. Great job, congratulations to all of them. We're excited to see them in the future at graduation. This year, they're being allowed to wear their cords. Thank you, Mrs. Poppy, for reaching out and advocating for that. For us, it is something that those children received and achieved, and they have every right, as everyone else, to wear them, and I'm excited to see that. I will now open the floor for the first public comment portion of the agenda. This public comment period is for agenda items only, consent agenda items only. Any additional public comment period will be held later in the meeting. Before I go on to read this, is there anybody in the audience who has a consent agenda item only they would like to speak on? On consent agenda? Okay, give me 1 second. Please raise your hand. Okay, we got that. Move down. Here we go. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president only. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to consent agenda items only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. Members of the audience speak out of turn. The board may consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend that time. My apologies, we have to read this. It's not that, go ahead.
It's tall this time. It's tall this time. Okay. I just had a question about, you were talking about the 9/11 curriculum before, and you were mentioning a flag that you saw in the hallway. I'm wondering what flag you're referring to, because I'm just confused, and I feel like if me, a high school student, doesn't know what flag you're referring to, then I feel like no one else does.
Which flag are you referring to? The one that I said
You
in
were
the high
saying that
school
there was
or the one in
there was
the-
one in the high school that refers to 9/11.
There is a painting of what looks like the flag with 9/11 words written, and it's a memorial, which is beautiful, which I support 100%. I'm just saying to you, because it is curriculum-based. What I am saying is there is one in OBMS, which has caused people to send a notice of claim, I apologize. A notice of claim, which is somewhat like a grievance. In regards to it being discriminatory, the 9/11 flag that hangs behind glass as a memorial on the wall of OBMS in the hallway when you first walk in.
Okay, I just wanted to ask about that because I feel like everyone here was kind of confused on what you were referring to, and I understand that you were trying to make sure that it's in the curriculum because then that defends your policy about only the American, New York, and curriculum-based flags, the one that's referring to the pride flag and excluding that. But I also had a question about what you were discussing with, because you mentioned how much it costs to do that investigation about if the new, I don't know how to refer to her, trustee-elect, that investigation. So, because I feel like that's unclear as well. Lee said, sorry, I referred you by your first name. Ms. Kennedy said that she got an email and that she referred to it to the district clerk, and then the district clerk referred it to the lawyer. And so it wasn't Ms. Kennedy is where I'm confused on. Because you keep mentioning how there needs to be a vote by 3 people, but if all she did was refer it to the clerk, then it wasn't actually her who brought it to the lawyer in the first place. Is where I'm confused.
The point of the question was that technically, as I was told by legal, when I reached out, because the board president normally speaks on behalf of the board with legal. And so we don't always incur charges when we call the board. We call the lawyer. Because I've called the lawyer quite a few times, and he doesn't charge me every time I call because it could just be a simple question to answer for everybody. When any board member sends it through whatever chain, in the future, we will, like we said, we'll be speaking with the new board in regards to how it's supposed to go, where we should be determining if it's going to cost taxpayer money. We should really all just be told about it and know about it before it's actually done. That's all. To the point is, the whole thing just seems like it wasn't done
Through the proper channels is what you said.
But in the future, it will. It will.
So Ms. Kennedy was not supposed to send the question to the district clerk?
You can answer Ms. Kennedy's.
Yeah, I feel like that's more a question for the
Miss-
lawyer.
She perfectly is fine doing, again, whatever she was doing. That's not the issue. The issue is asking a question and not asking through the board.
So it
Most
should
of
have been
us,
sent to
I don't know
you?
about everybody else, but I was told when I went to training that when we send something, it's technically as a board, because no one of us has any power or authority to make a decision without the 3 of us, especially when you're allocating money from taxpayer money.
So I'm still confused. So say that I sent an email to any of the board members and like you weren't the one who got it. Do they have to send it to you or to the district clerk before it gets voted on in one of these? Because I'm very confused. You're saying that I'm sorry.
Let me see if I can help. So essentially what happens is when members of the community submit items, questions, right? Questions, concerns to the board, those should be directed to the district clerk, and then the district clerk will distribute those to either the board president or the board as a whole, depending upon what the particular process is. So that's how that works. And then how it comes to my office, ideally, it's going to be a process, an internal process that the board uses to determine whether or not the question warrants legal advice, right? So, and I think the issue that's being raised today is that that process wasn't necessarily followed before it
Okay.
came to our office.
So if we send you questions, it goes to the district clerk, who brings it to the board, and then the board brings it to the lawyer? If they decide to bring it to the lawyer, then the 3 votes to bring it to the lawyer?
Right.
Okay, that's where I wanted the clarification on, because I feel like we were confused about who it goes to before it actually gets to you and where it gets to the possibility of using taxpayer dollars.
Right.
So that's all I had. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? For consent agenda only? Okay. Can I please have a motion to approve items 2 through 7 in financial matters? Are there any questions? No? All in favor? Aye, motion so carries. Personnel matters, instructional and non-instructional. Can I please have a motion to approve all personnel schedules as presented?
Rest of the consent agenda, you just did 2 through 7, right?
That's what's on here.
That's the financial matters.
That was
uh,
financial
what
matters. You
voted
haven't
on.
gotten to, consent agenda's N. We're only at M. No problem. No worries. So on M, it's gonna be personnel. Are you guys, I need a,
There's a motion and a second on the table, so
Yeah.
just a vote.
okay, so are there any questions? Oh, wait, Mylan might have a question. Hold on. Mylan, is it this one? No problem. Okay, so all in favor? Is it on personnel matters, Lee? Okay, we're at personnel matters, right? We're on personnel matters, just trying to get all in favor. Aye, or everybody on aye, yes? Okay, 5 yeses, motion so carries. For the consent agenda, do you have a amended?
Item number 9 is being pulled for a separate vote.
Okay. Can I please have a motion to approve items 2 through 27 minus number 9? Are there any questions? Okay, go ahead.
Six? No. That's okay. I mean, it's good lost money. I mean, we're losing money, but we're saving money because we're reaching a lot of children before they get into the school. But how much of a loss is it this year? It looked like a lot.
Yeah, on the financial statements for the year that ended June 2022, the loss is around $1 million for that program.
Kind of grant money for that? Because we used to
No.
get the pre-K, I thought, and the kinder, I thought there was grant money that was coming in.
Not for that program. That program,
This
So-
is the special ed one.
this
I
is
think we're
special ed
talking about 2
preschool.
different things, right? This is the special education program, special education preschool program, the 4410 program that the district runs.
I thought, Lori, I want to say that Mrs. O'Hara, I thought there was grants that came in when I sat down with you two. I could be wrong. There was
That are
grants.
associated with it,
Yes,
but we
that's what I
still,
thought.
we still
So we
run
still lost $1 million on top of that.
into a deficit.
Okay, shoot.
The other preschool question, I think, is fully grant funded, and that's our universal preschool, universal pre-K.
Or is there anything we could do next year to try to alleviate that? Or are there any other grants we can put in for?
So we're making some internal adjustments in order to hopefully lower that bottom line. come next year. But they involve resources that we already have within the district in order to reduce that dollar amount and its strain on the budget.
That group vision plan, that's separate from the dental, isn't it not, Mr. Reza?
Dental plan is separate from the vision plan, yes.
Okay, that's all I have.
So, we did the questions, are all in favor? Motion and a second, all in favor? Everything except 9. It's 2 through 27 minus 9. 9 is pulled for a
Aye.
separate vote. Aye. Now, item number 9, which we're going to vote on as a separate.
We need a motion and a second on the floor, please.
Can we get a motion and a second? before the
Motion.
vote? A motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, you guys good? Lee's a yes, I'll do a roll call vote. So yes for Lee,
I'm a yes.
yes for Marisol, yes for Brian. Mylan, you're a no? I'm abstaining because I needed more information.
So with 3 yeses, the motion carries.
Yes, without a file or something for me to look at before this. Yeah, this, I can't. So, I will now open the floor for the open public comment portion of the agenda. I will call individuals forward one at a time. Please wait for my acknowledgement before stepping up to the podium. You should have received a numbered card from security on your way in. If you have not, please see a security guard in the back of the room. Any person wishing to address the board shall address the board president only. Comments should be kept as brief as possible and relate to school matters only. Each person will be limited to 3 minutes for one or more topics. Individual employees, parents, or children should not be identified by name, title, position, grade, or building. If members of the audience speak out of turn, the board may consider a recess until order is restored. In accordance with policy 1230, public comment will not exceed 30 minutes. If there are additional persons wishing to speak, the board may consider a motion to extend that time. Can I have number 1 step up to the podium if they so choose?
Hello. We would like to take a moment to say a few kind words about one of our amazing board members, Lee Kennedy. This wonderful woman started on the board about 23 years ago. She was a single mother who wanted answers when her son was in middle school, and that led her to start to frequent board meetings, which led her to want to run and win a spot as a board of trustee. She ran for re-election about 7 times, which she easily won each. The reason for that is because she's a listener. She wants change. She's always for education. She holds people accountable. She supports teachers and staff members. She does what's best for the district, not for herself. She's never had a personal agenda. She has been instrumental in implementing numerous changes to the district, starting with a housing community, which began the expansion of all elementary schools, putting in the atriums. She expanded the high school so that there was no split sessions and we would have full-day kindergarten. She helped create the Virtual Enterprise program and push Connecticut to high standards when it comes to technology programs and the robotics. She advocated for anti-bullying education for students and staff, as well as numerous other programs and changes. Mrs. Kennedy was always looking to bring Connecticut to a level other districts would want to emulate. Aside from doing extraordinary things for the district, she has always put the kids in the community first, also. Local families remember all the block parties Mrs. Kennedy planned. Her pet raccoon, which she raised and would let all the community children come and pet and feed. Her maintaining of the pond so everyone could go and skate during the winter. The list goes on and on. She has time and time again shown her love and dedication to this community when no one else would. She does. Thank you for your years of dedication and service. You will be missed. Will everyone please rise and give a big hand for Lee Kennedy? Your service will not be forgotten. And on a more personal note, Lee, I've been watching these board meetings for a while. A lot of people on that board, especially the president, have been like mad mean to you. And I'm glad that you're able to retire and not have to deal with how mean these people can be to you. So congrats, Lee.
I wish I had my high school speech. I read it to you right now, but I have it at home. I think maybe I'll get it to you. And you could just read it to your personal friends.
Number 2.
That would be me. Is it on? It's on now? Okay, great. All right. I'm here to speak about Lee as well. Some of it might sound repetitive, but here we go. I alone cannot change the world, but I can cast a stone across the water to create many ripples. Lee Kennedy has spent the last 24 years doing just that for our world, the Connecticut community. Lee was first elected to the Board of Education in 1999. It was a time of many changes. New York State was encouraging school districts to implement full-day kindergarten and to restructure their middle and high schools. In return, the state would offer funding assistance. Pursuing this path was very difficult. It involved creating kindergarten atriums and adding classrooms to the high school. Committees that included all stakeholders were formed, and after months and months of discussion, our district committed to it. What a way to start. Over the years, Lee has been a part of many decisions, working with 25 board trustees over 2+ decades. She interviewed and approved the hiring of 3 superintendents, as well as multiple assistant superintendents and directors. She was on the board when 3, Dr. Laria, Dr. Groveman, and Dr. Adams started, and when they retired. During her time on the board, Lee was part of a team that applied for and received Middle States accreditation. She advocated for educational programs, including IB and the Common Core. She was a strong supporter of anti-bullying initiatives. She advocated for the BOCES Summit Program, for improvements in the high school auditorium, for increasing opportunities for our music and art students, and for adding technology courses at the high school, including coding. Most recently, Lee fought against much resistance to keep our schools safe during the pandemic. She fought for diversity, equity, and inclusion in education, especially in regards to our LGBTQ+ community. Strongly fought to allow parents and students to decide what books they may or may not read, and not members of the Board of Education. During her tenure, Lee was elected to the board 8 times. She attended 575 executive session meetings, over 575 board meetings, over 280 committee meetings, and multiple workshops and seminars. She attended dozens of concerts, plays, graduations, and special events. Lee advocated and fought for the programs, initiatives, and policies that she believed would move our district forward. And even when her efforts were marginalized or attacked, or she was told multiple times that she was too old to do this, she never gave up. She was elected 8 times. She has served our community for 24 years, longer than any other board member in our recorded history. Tonight, at her last meeting, I, along with other members of our community, would like to express our gratitude and appreciation for her decades of service. And in my last 2 seconds,
Thank you very much. Next, number 3. Number 3, your time is up, ma'am. Have a good night. Mrs. Ketty, please show respect to the next speaker. Thank you.
All right, I only have 3 minutes. Thank you, Marlon and Lee, for your years of service. Volunteering is no easy task for all of you. I'll tell you all privately how much I appreciate it, but I only got 3 minutes, and I got a lot to add for the kids, because that's why I'm here. Graduation's coming up, cap and gown. Very expensive for a lot of families. I know we don't think it is sometimes. Everyone thinks that they could afford it. A lot of kids can't. and families are struggling to make that $30-something payment. What I'd like to propose is that each class, their student governments, they raise a lot of money, and usually at the end of their 4 years, they dedicate something large to the school. What I'd love to see is a community-wide fundraiser, district-wide fundraiser, that we can't give the cap and gowns because it's a gift of public funds, so we're not allowed to do that. But what we can do is when we have things like student government who raises money, we could distribute money so it either lowers the cap and gown price to a reasonable price of maybe like $10. So this way everybody still has their dignity intact. That creates equity and inclusion, which is very important, and that levels the playing field a little bit more. Or we're able to, if they raise enough money through the 4 years, they can gift them to each student. That's a very important thing, so nobody feels less than or worries about it, because no parent should have to worry about being able to afford a cap and gown for their kid. That's just, it makes me sick that that's even a thing. And nobody should have to call up and beg and borrow and worry about that. Or people don't even know who to call. And honestly, I would never call and ask. I would not want to do that because of a lot of reasons here. The other thing is, let's see, musical instruments also. And, oh, you know what? Music trips and other trips, a lot of trips this school goes on, a lot of different places. It's amazing. I love it. I love that we travel so much. We also need to do bigger fundraisers. When one of my children was supposed to go to California before that got canceled, I said, look, it's great that some people could sell chocolate bars and apple pies and stuff like that. I don't have people I can sell that stuff to. It doesn't work in my job. It doesn't work in my husband's job. I don't have a large bunch of people. And who am I going to sell chocolate bars to? I'm going to be standing out on the street corner doing that. It's ridiculous. And then everybody's going to want to buy it from you. It's silly. It's great. It works for some people, and we should still keep that. We need to think larger and do bigger fundraisers. At that time, I did do bigger fundraisers, and where it went into a pot, and it lowered the price of the trips for everybody. That's what we need to think about. Not every child can get a job. Not every parent can afford it. You can't keep asking people for things like that. And there's the trip prices. I don't want the kids to not be able to go. So when you have a trip that costs $1,600, you know, yeah, people go, well, my kid was out there raking leaves. Well, good for you. My neighbors are all in the same boat. They're not going to pay my kid to rake their leaves, you know? So we do have to think about that. We want to make things where we can include everybody. So we have to think on a larger scale. So we have to make these types of fundraising more community type events. I will be more than happy to volunteer to help with any of these things, to help put things together. It's something that has to involve more people and something that more people want to get involved in. We can't keep hitting up the same people and asking them to support and to do, because then you're just passing the same $20 bill back and forth. And you know, and you want people to feel included. You want them to have dignity, and it should be equitable.
Thank you very much. Number 4.
First, I'd like to thank the lawyer for clarifying about the question that was raised by the other trustee-elect about my qualifications and then brought forward by Lee. So thank you for clarifying for that, for me. I appreciate that. And I just want to just clarify, is somebody suing us over the 9/11 memorial? It was very confusing, all of that. Is there, I don't know if there's anything you could.
I can answer that. Just hold the time, please.
It's a notice of claim?
It's a notice of claim. It's like a grievance. correct?
Sorry, so essentially a notice of claim is a precursor to a lawsuit under the general municipal law and the education law. It has to be filed with the school district within a certain defined period of time prior to commencing an actual lawsuit against the district.
I see. Okay, thank you.
And one was filed.
Okay.
For discrimination from that being on the wall.
Gotcha, okay. And there was also just, and I don't think that you can elaborate much on this, but there was a lot of speculation surrounding an event that happened at RMS. I don't even know. There was stuff on social media about an event that happened at RMS with a student attacking. I don't even know what it was. Just a lot of speculation about, and just to make sure everything is okay. I don't know if there's anything you can elaborate on that. Everything was taken care of. I know that there's things you cannot say because it's, personal.
We can't talk about any specific student at this juncture and on this platform.
And the last thing I want to do is I do think we need to thank both Mylin and Lee for their years of service. It's no easy task to be up there. It is a thankless position, as we have seen, and no matter what has gone on over the years, Lee did put in 24 years, and Mylin, you put in 9 amazing years, and honestly, your fiscal knowledge is going to be greatly missed. I know you have advocated for many things for the students, and I've just seen it. I've seen it. I saw it working alongside you over the last few months, and you're incredible. And we will definitely miss you being up there. So thank you for your many, many years of service. Thank you both. Thank you very much, Mylin. Appreciate it.
Number 5. Number 6.
Hi, I have a couple questions based on some of the conversation from earlier. I was just trying to figure out what was going on because we couldn't really hear when you guys were explaining the flag situation. So my understanding is that because, and before this gets twisted into some Facebook group I'm blocked out of, I think the 9/11 flag is wonderful, right? Like, I think that we should absolutely have things to recognize that. I just want to understand that there's something being brought forward regarding the situation with the pride flag, essentially, because this flag is up. Somebody is saying it is discriminatory that also the 9/11 flag is up and the pride flag was taken down. Is that what I'm understanding correctly?
Essentially, yes.
Okay, so, and as long as we can spin curriculum to fit whatever narrative we're looking for, that works. Because when I was in health class, I remember learning about safe sex practices and LGBT students, they're possibly having sex, so wouldn't that be part of curriculum?
So let me just comment on that.
Like, I'm just saying, like, right, like,
Right,
in an
so-
overarching manner, we're talking about, I learned safe sex practices, I learned about drugs and alcohol, right? And there's things that are specific, like, to those communities. Like, couldn't we just spin curriculum however we wanted to make a standpoint here? Because I thought the whole thing was no flags, but now 9/11 is the specific curriculum that exists. We have a 9/11 curriculum.
Right, so just to answer that, the latest question about spinning curriculum, so the answer to that would be no. But in relation to your questions about the flag, the suit, the questions that you're asking relate somewhat to like defenses that the district would impose in connection with a suit that may ultimately be filed. Because of that, the board is not able to comment on that, and on behalf of the board, neither am I. So essentially, the board has shared as much information as it can up to this point regarding what the status of that is.
Okay, my other question is if somebody were to, because somebody did ask about the cost of a petition to remove a board member that went around and that kind of got like glazed over. We just heard about the 4,000 and change. I'm just curious who represents, if a single board member is petitioned to be removed, who pays the cost of the attorney for that board member? Because I believe that I can see that Ms. Kennedy was represented by somebody, but who covered the cost of that? Because I know it's not your firm.
No.
So I'm just wondering, because your firm would represent if something was brought to against the whole board, correct? So,
Hold on, let me just turn that on. So logistically, it's a little rough, right? So our firm would represent nobody, right? We just take a step back. And to your point, if there was something filed against the entire board, then in most circumstances, yes, unless it went through insurance. In relation to a board removal proceeding, then the board would appoint someone else to prosecute any claims on behalf of the board against a particular trustee. And the board the board member or trustee that's at issue would be bearing the cost of their own legal fees. Oh, she got through.
right,
Okay.
so I'm just
Sorry,
clarifying
mistaken.
that. Yeah, like, so if the community,
If the board can opt to, wait, Leah, I'm explaining that, because, for instance, we had a board member had an issue like this, the board got questions, that board member had to send an email to the board, and we then had to agree to cover the charge.
requested indemnification.
That's it.
So, correction, in that circumstance, the board agreed to defend and indemnify the trustee.
So to clarify, if members of the community bring forth the petition to remove a board member, they're responsible for the cost of their own counsel, but they're also responsible for the cost of the counsel of the person they're trying to remove? Yeah.
It's both.
Right, like I would like.
The board member that is any sitting trustee, at least this is what Fred told us last time, any sitting trustee is entitled to a defense. And they're indemnified unless there is something criminal that they did. If they do something criminal, then they have to get their own attorney. But if they do something as a board member, acting in good faith, with no malice or criminal act, it is, and you request the board to indemnify you, which means that you're, as a board member, acting as a board member. And if you're acting as a board member, you're entitled to a defense that the district pays you.
You're absolutely correct.
My sister's an attorney, I'm doing good.
You are. I am no longer required. Thank you.
And I was just wondering if
Don't worry about getting removed, attorneys in the back.
if we were, since we were being super transparent about legal costs, I was just wondering, is there somewhere that we could see the cost that this ridiculous policy to remove the pride flag has cost the district and the community so far in legal fees?
So essentially what you'd be asking for is you'd be asking for records under the Freedom of Information Law for attorney's fees and costs and things along those lines.
Totally understand. It's just that we brought certain numbers forward, but those ones we want to keep quiet.
I don't think it's necessarily
We just don't have
the
'em.
case there in terms of whether people ask for them or not. So to the extent that someone is asking for that through the Freedom of Information Law, they can certainly do that by filing that request with the district clerk.
Got it. Yeah, no, I was just saying because nobody filed for that number, but we got it. You know? Thank you.
It's covered under insurance, so that's a good thing with something like that, at least it's covered under insurance. No, the Department of Human Rights one.
The pride flag, that was
The
covered by
pride
insurance.
flag and the Department of Human Rights is under insurance.
Correct.
Moving a board member is not covered under that. That would be the issue, both. Number 7. No, you're number 7, right? You were number 7? Thank you. Number 7? Number 7? I don't want to leave anybody out. Number 8? Is there a number 8? Okay.
Okay, so I want to clarify, I have no problem personally with the trustee-elect coming in. I do, however, have some questions. Do we put up bonds for the library? Like if there are repairs or things that are needed for Connecticut Public Library? Do we pass bonds? Does Connecticut Public Library fall under the purview of Connecticut School District?
No.
It does not. Because I'm remembering a bond we put forth for Connecticut Library, the building, the expansion and refurbishing of Connecticut Library.
I'll try to answer this. To my knowledge, what we do annually is we collect the taxes on behalf of the library. If the library were to have a special bond vote for a capital improvement, I'm not familiar with that. I can't answer that question.
Okay. Okay. Who pays the Connecticut librarians? What's on their paycheck?
We do not pay the Connecticut library employees. They have
So
their
we
own
don't know?
payroll.
Or, I mean, that's a genuine question.
Yeah,
I'm just
I would
curious.
say their revenues that are used to pay their employees or taxes that are levied upon the residents, we collect those taxes on behalf of the library, and then we forward the taxes over to the library.
So what you're saying is essentially so then it does fall under the purview of Connecticut School District. So let me I want to clarify this. I really want to understand this. If you're collecting the taxes, okay, by a Connecticut School District whatever, you're collecting those taxes, and that's how it's distributed by us. So then it does fall under ConnectWise. Am I wrong?
I don't know if it falls, quote, under. All I'm saying is the library advises us the amount of money to be collected. We communicate that to the town of Islip. The town of Islip levies those taxes. They remit those taxes to us, and then we turn around and send those monies over to the library.
Okay, so in other words, if, let's say, we need a whole bunch of computers for the ConnectWise library, how does that happen? Does ConnectWise Library put out something to the community?
I cannot
Does it
answer
come
that question.
here? What?
When it comes time to specifics of purchasing the library, you'd have to ask the library how they do that. We don't have a role in that.
We
If
don't-
something's wrong with the roof, where does that come from?
You'd have to ask the library. We have no role in that.
Library has their own budget. When I spoke to our attorney, he had found that the library has its own budget vote and has its own budget. So what you're asking about is,
Through ConnectWise School District, though?
No.
They do their own finances, they do their own board meetings, their own
I
budget.
can only speak to, I mean, I've been a resident here for 54 years, okay? I know that ConnectWise has put out bonds having to do with ConnectWise Public Library. And as I said, I have no issue. She's new coming in. I actually think she might be good, okay? I've heard wonderful things about what she does at the library. My concern is, if this isn't taken care of without an attorney's firm, okay, legal firm, who is going and answering questions and finding loopholes to back up the power base that's going on, okay? I have a problem with that because down the road, it could cost tens of thousands of dollars to find out.
our lawyers are not going to put their reputation and their licenses on the line for one Board of Ed when they are in charge of many, many Board of Eds. So while I appreciate what you're saying, and you have every right to your opinion, I think the issue is that legal has given their legal guidance that they received from from all different education departments and educational law. You are welcome to take the video and what was said tonight to a personal attorney of your own and have them look into it if you feel that it's necessary. I'm sure there are some in the district that might even help you out. But
Listen, I just want these answers so this doesn't come down. We had an issue with the previous board member who didn't live in the district.
Over again. The public said, this is going on. Gercio and Gercio knew all about it. It took hiring a private investigator, bringing in the video, having the guy admit on camera. So while you're saying that, and that sounds great, I know what has occurred in the past.
thank you. Have a good night. What is it, number? Number 9. Mrs. You already had a number. You can't have.
You've done this in the past. You absolutely have. I've watched you do it numerous times. You've done it since all this time.
Jenny, all due respect, I mean,
With all respect, Brian, I've watched you do it, and I've not complained because I love to hear the young kids talk, but they've done it numerous times these last 6 months. And I'm not
I
even
don't
coming
believe
up
we
here to
have.
complain.
I don't
I'm
believe
coming
we
up
have.
to tell you about school
All right,
programs.
so 3 minutes, get your 3 minutes, let her speak, don't answer any questions, because this
I
is
never
public
ask any
comment.
questions. I'm the only person who never asks you guys any questions. I don't
Because
even
that's-
complain up here.
If you watch any board meeting from any other, if you watch any board meeting from any other district, it's not a question
You know
and
what's
answer
really
session.
amazing? I am the only
I'm not
person
wrong.
since September who has not come up here and yelled at you and been disrespectful or rude to
Mrs. Ketty, go ahead. We're going to give you the 3 minutes.
Go ahead.
But
in
I'm the hill you're gonna
but what
die
I'm going to
on. Good
explain is,
job.
this is my fault, and I apologize to the board tonight. I allowed the back and forth when in reality, as per our guidance and our policies, we're not supposed to have that. We're only supposed to listen, take what you guys say, take it with us, give it to the correct people to look into it, and get back to you. So our apologies, we tried to, answer some of you, but that was on me, and I apologize.
Put my time up. I'm up here because I also want to talk about the fact that kids need musical instruments. Not everybody could afford them. We should start a program where kids can actually, we have a real borrowing program in our school. They used to have that when I was younger. You only had to pay for the insurance on the instrument. It was very cheap, under $10. You paid for the insurance for the year on the instrument, and then a child could borrow the instrument for the year. We do have some instruments that our school does lend out, but it's not enough. So there are a lot of programs that they'll donate instruments to the school that maybe we could look into, or we could work out something with a music store, or we could look into purchasing, which is really what we need to do, so more children can partake in the programs without having cost be a factor, because it is a factor whether we want to admit it or not. That's something that needs to happen. Another thing is concussion sensors. So mental health is a huge thing, and there is a relationship between concussions and suicide and a lot of other mental health issues. With the sports, it's not just concussions. We think football right away, which is a big thing. The NFL was looking to do helmet sensors, and they piloted them for a little bit, like around 2015, 2016. They used helmet sensors. They stopped a little bit over data inaccuracies and questions about player privacy. So they suspended the program for a little bit. Now they use the mouth guards. That they're doing it now with about 8 colleges also doing it, like University of Chapel Hill, Vanderbilt, University of Pittsburgh, as about 8 schools now, colleges also that are doing it. I'd really like to have our sports program look into these concussion sensors, not just for our football team, but for our soccer players, because they have skin sensors. And what they are is they're using mouth guards now for data for the NFL, but it's something different. They have these things and they have a light on them. So if a kid gets hit a specific way, a light will go. And it's not saying that your kid has a concussion, but it lets the sideline medic or the coach know that the kid got hit in a specific way, that they should be evaluated on the side of the field. I think it's important, especially, soccer is the #1 concussion sport. Most people don't even realize that. But you have lacrosse, you have soccer, we have kids who play hockey. Things like this, it's important. Concussions are very, very dangerous, and it's something that we need to consider for safety. And I think the safety of our kids is extremely important. So maybe we could have Mr. Mallory look into something like this and see if it has any value as far as our kids are going forward. Another thing, New York State Park has a grant that you could apply to for field trips. You get $80 a kid, and it's free for your kid. You get $80. You can apply for the different parks, and that's for general education, special education. It's $180 a kid. If our grant writers want to apply for something, it'd be a free field trip for the kids.
You don't need a grant writer for that, Jenny. All you
Well,
have to
then a
do-
teacher could write it if they want to take their kids
All
on a
you have
trip,
to
and
do
it'll
is
cost nobody
apply.
in the class anything.
All you have to do is find out where you'd like to go at any park. And
These are specific for like wild play, like New York State parks, like big trips that you could take the kids on, and it won't cost anything.
we do it all the time at Bayard Cutting Arboretum. Connect
All right,
White's there
I
all
get
the
it with the
time.
Arboretum. I'm just saying, but other schools, other bigger trips, they'll give up to $180 for special education per child. and
Anything for New
$80 per
York
thing.
State, they'll
Yeah.
do that.
It's awesome. I'm saying.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Number 10.
No more numbers.
Caps and gowns were brought up, and I went to Senior Walk at Cherokee this morning, and I was amazed at seeing all the kids in their caps and gowns. It was fantastic. But it's bringing to mind that NYSED put out guidelines this week to help transgender and gender expansive students transition in school, including recommending schools address students by their chosen names and pronouns without requiring parental consent, also not using boys and girls, referring to students as learners, scholars, or field-specific names. But part of the guidelines is also separating the colors of caps and gowns by gender, having everybody wear one color cap and gown, or having the students decide what color cap and gown they are. So I'm not sure when these guidelines go into effect. No, it's too late for our seniors this year, but shortly the junior class will be getting their notices for senior pictures. So this is something on the horizon that we're going to need to look at. And it's going to be weird for the rising seniors to have different color caps and gowns in their pictures and in yearbooks next year. So this might be something that should be put on the table sooner.
I know for a fact that last year there was a student that chose their color gown.
Does the general population of students know that?
Thank you very much.
I want to respond to the person that had questions on the Connecticut Public Library. They have a 5-member board. They have a budget. Their budget appears on your tax bill. They have a vote different than the day when we vote the school budget. Their meetings are once a month. You should call them. I think they're on a different date during the summer. They usually meet the second Thursday of the month. You're welcome to come down to their meetings. Their meetings are open to the public, and I'm sure they'll answer any questions that you have.
Thank you, Ed, so much. Appreciate it.
Okay, it's lower now. So my question was on the on board docs under agenda. There's many things that say it'll just like mention what you're talking about, and it'll say as attached, and then there's nothing attached. So like specifically tonight, you were talking about you put, I think it was number 9, as a separate vote. And so I read it, and it says the superintendent of schools recommends that the Board of Education approve the MOA with the Connecticut Teachers Association as attached, and then there's nothing there. So I was wondering if there's anything we could do about that, because I like going, I don't know if most people do, but I like going through and reading through everything so that I can understand what you guys are talking about, especially if you do separate votes like that. But I don't know if that's like a confidentiality thing.
No, you're exactly right. So there are certain items or records that are not going to be produced prior to being approved. There are some that won't be disclosed at all. And then there are certain records that can only be disclosed if they're redacted.
Okay.
So it's a determination that the district makes in line with our office about what items are going to be disclosed. The items that can be obviously will be.
Okay, so would you be able to not put as attached on it? Because when you were discussing that, I went straight to this to see if there was anything there, and then there was nothing, and I was disappointed.
Sure.
And just to touch on the cap and gown thing, I know a couple of juniors this year who are non-binary, and you're saying that you can request a specific cap and gown, but if the general thing is that the girls wear white and the boys wear red, then you're making these non-binary students choose if they're choose to fit in with how it is, to choose red or white, to choose male or female, which is the whole, they're non-binary because they're not male or female. So I feel like that's kind of what was mentioned, or it's just that, like thinking right now, I feel like it feels so disconnected to have 2 different colors. Why can't we all just be red? Why can't we all just be the same color? Or you have it like randomized to look. I feel like that would look cool as well if it's about looks. Just something to put out there, because I know that it's probably going to be an issue from some of my non-binary friends next year. Thank you.
No problem. I'd like to end with a thank you to Lee and Mylin for their years of
Jackie,
service.
Before you do that, Lee just showed me the text message from the community member that had sent her the inquiry about Jackie. So she just wanted to verify to everybody that it actually did happen.
That's not how I was.
No, I've just, Lee
I was
just showed
very
it to me
clear
and
that
she just wanted to make.
An inquiry came in from the elect to central office, and so did one from the, and them. Okay, this is not, excuse me, this is not how we're gonna end the meeting, thank you. I'm in the middle of giving accolades to 2 board members for their service. Let's show some respect. Yes, let's show some respect. Thank you, Lee and Mylin, for your many years of service. Thank you, Lee, for your 24 years of service. Mylin, thank you for your 9 years of service. Enjoy retirement, you both have earned it.
Good luck, ladies. Thank you so much for everything.
Please have a motion to adjourn the June 13th Board of Ed meeting.
Motion.
Second, all in favor? Aye. Have a good night, everyone.